Hello, I'm Matt Gillard. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Capital Corner, your weekly news and views and commentary on the happenings surrounding early childhood right here from your state capital in Lansing. Well, it's been a busy week in the legislature this week as they tried desperately to wrap up the important issues they had before them before they head on their extended summer break. Much of the discussion was around redistricting, which we've talked about in the past. This is a process that the legislature has to endure every 10 years after the census comes out, where they redraw the legislative and congressional district lines for the state of Michigan. This is always a very contentious and political issue, and certainly proved to be this year as well. With the Republicans in the majority in both the House and the Senate, and obviously in the governor's office, they were able to get through this quite a bit quicker than they would have been if there were split or divided government amongst the parties. But we do expect some legal challenges to be filed to some of the maps, as certainly there are some constituencies who are not happy with the maps that were ultimately passed by the legislature. But this is typical of the process, and we'll expect to hear more of that as we move on. Also in the legislature this week, there was a lot of work on some education reform issues and some public employee reform issues. Teacher tenure reform was something that the legislature has been working on a lot, and finally did move some bills on that, reforming the tenure system for teachers, and also public employee health care reform. This has been a big piece of Governor Snyder's reform agenda since he took office, and the legislature did pass a comprehensive package of bills that in some cases or most cases will require public employees, including state employees, public school employees, local government employees, and others, to pay more for their health care benefits than they're currently paying. This was obviously a very controversial issue as well. So on the legislative front, there was a lot of activity, not a lot focused on early childhood. However, on the governor's side, there was some very exciting news on early childhood this week. The governor did finally sign the much-anticipated and long-awaited executive order calling for the creation of the Office of Great Start. This is something that the governor first mentioned in his address to the legislature's April education address to the legislature, where he called for combining and bringing together the state's resources around early childhood programs into one office housed in the Department of Education. In its initial phase, this office will bring the Child Development and Care Program from the Department of Human Services over to the Department of Education to work closely with the Office of Early Education that's currently there, the Department of Early Education, our pre-K programs that are currently run through the Department of Education, as well as the Head Start Collaboration Office will move from the Department of Human Services. But the executive order also does call for continuing programs to move into this office so that the state can really start to build a coordinated, comprehensive effort to really get the services that children and families with young children need down to the local levels. This is a very positive step for the state of Michigan and truly shows Governor Snyder's commitment towards investment in early childhood programs and towards making early childhood really a priority as he moves his broader education reform agenda forward. So this is a very positive sign. The executive order does go to the legislature now, where they do not need to take any action. The legislature, by process, can reject the executive order within 60 days, which then it will not take effect. We do not expect that to happen. We do expect 60 days from the date that the executive order was signed, June 29th, that the executive order will officially take effect and the Office of Great Start will be created in the Department of Education. Once again, this is a very positive sign and something that a lot of us here in Lansing have been working a long time towards, and I think is something that we should really feel good about. All the advocacy efforts and others that we've done to make early childhood a priority with this governor and with this legislature are starting to come to fruition, which is a positive sign. On the legislative front, the legislature is set to go on break now, an extended break for the summer, certainly for the month of July and probably most of August. They will not be here in Lansing having legislative session. They will be back in their districts, however, meeting with constituents, both to explain what they have done to this point, because there have been a number of significant changes enacted, but also to hear from constituents on what they want their priorities to be when they come back in the fall. This is an excellent opportunity for supporters of early childhood to reach out to their legislators, to meet with them in your hometowns, and to let them know that when they come back this fall, you expect them and you want them to prioritize quality investment in quality early childhood programs, and to really join the governor in supporting the governor's clear commitment towards early childhood as a critical piece of really reforming Michigan's education system and to providing a quality great start for all of Michigan's young children. So please take advantage of that opportunity. Reach out to your legislators when they're home for their summer vacation, and please tune in again where we continue to update you on further developments or happenings here in Lansing around early childhood issues.